Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another Mountain Man Monday live stream. I'm your host, Mr. Mountain Man, and welcome everyone here to the mountains in Western North Carolina. This is live stream episode number 80. Today is June the 28th, 2021. I want to welcome everyone here on this later East Coast evening that might be joining us live, and anyone who joins later on the Mr. Mountain Man YouTube channel. As always, this live stream and others are available on my YouTube channel under the live stream playlist. I hope everyone has had a great Monday, a nice weekend, and a nice start to their week. We're going to get it rolling. And so, as you saw, it's kind of like this window of opportunity. I've been on it like 6:30 and now it's almost 9:30. Looking at the clock down there, it's kind of like remember the space shuttle back in the day? How like I don't know if you ever paid attention, but the space shuttle would be like, it would try to take off at say at 6:30 p.m. And if it didn't hit that window, then it had to be like 3 days later or something like that. And you're like, why can't you just launch like 2 hours later if there's some weather or something like that? It's the same thing here with the Mountain Man Monday. If I don't make it in that early time slot, it seems like it gets pushed 3 hours to the later time slot. It's kind of an either or, at least recently. But I see we got people joining us and everybody's doing okay, hopefully. Living like Larry, happy Mountain Man Monday, everyone. To you as well, Larry. You're first in the door tonight. So it was 8:45 to 9 p.m. Mountain Man time. Yeah, I think I put 8:45 to 9:15, hopefully. But you're right, Mr. Carlos. It was Mountain Man time. I think that's perfect. Let's just say that's what we're on. We're on Mountain Man time. In parentheses, what's really happening is it's when the family can get things moved around and join you all. Hey, Hope, how you doing today, Mountain Man Monday? Doing well. I hope you're having a great start to your week and a nice Monday. Mountain Man time varies. It sure does. Just like the shuttle launches, comparing the shuttle launches to Mountain Man Monday, right? Man, I already feel my voice like tightening up. I think it's because I should be drinking water. I think I have like Diet Mountain Dew or something. That stuff's not exactly good for the throat. But anyway, again, I hope everybody's having a yes. Greetings to everyone. That blue shirt makes your eyes pop. I appreciate that. This is, and thank you. That's a nice thing to say. This is the hard to see squeeze in there. The original Benjamin's Calabash Seafood Buffet. It's got a nice logo on the back, and I think I was just talking about that video last week. And so, yeah. So yes, we've had a technical hold. That's right. I should put it out there on like, the one of the posts or something like that. Sorry everyone, have a delay in the launch here. I'll be with you shortly. But I tried to get it at least launched today by 9:15. Took me a few extra minutes. It takes a lot of preparation, believe it or not, to get this. I don't always have everything here. If you could see all that I have going on here to get this thing going, plus the news and notes and everything like that. I kind of look for that information throughout the week, but a lot of time it culminates kind of Monday right before it happens. And so, I definitely, put a little bit of TLC into getting ready for this. Hey, Foxy Wolf, woohoo! I hear a familiar voice. So, Mr. Mountain Man Monday live stream. We got to get the this and the. I've been noticing lately that my let me see if I can get this a little thumbnail, right? But nobody wants to see that thumbnail every single week. I should do something like hit myself in the head. Like, I don't know. That's not gonna look too funny, but yeah, I think I gotta work on my biceps there. I don't think they're looking that. I was looking at one of the thumbnails the other day and it looked kind of, I was like, that doesn't actually look that nice. Like, I don't know if it's the angle or what is going on, but it's not, it's trying to use my bodybuilding with the hammer there to look like I deserve that hammer. But anyway, enough of that. What's on your shirt? Yeah, so this is the Benjamin's Calabash Seafood Buffet. You can probably see from the back. Let's see here. You guys see that? I don't know if it showed, but yeah, it's a cool shirt, and it's one of the ones they sent me when I did the video. Hey, Ted Never Harrison, I was just thinking about you all. I hadn't seen you in a couple of live stream chats. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Nice Monday, nice summer. Everything's going well for you there. Let's see. Oh, Rita is here. Hello, Mr. Mapman. Glad you could join us tonight. That's right. I know I was joking that it's like this window recently. I'm either coming on at like 6:30 or it's going to be like 9:30. That time in between is just usually hectic with, well, like this evening, walked the dog, I had to water the grass, was eating dinner, spending a little time with the kids, talking to the wife. There's a lot going on. And the only stinker about it is that I know that there are usually more people that can attend this if I do it earlier. There's a lot of people that work like really early in the morning, have to wake up 3, 4, 5 o'clock. So this is late. This is like, for some people, so for me, 9:30 is just getting into the evening. But for some people, 9:30 is like 1 a.m. in the morning. So that's the only downside, I think, of when I'm on that delay. But there's not much I can do about it. Again, hopefully people catch up on delay because, as I said a bunch, I think that while this might not be a visually entertaining live stream, at least the audio portion of it, I think somebody could listen in the background, at work or walking around or walking the dog or whatever, and hear the continuity of the conversations between you all and myself. So I think it holds water to be able to do that after the fact. Yeah, I thought it was a lighthouse. Yeah, it's got the little lighthouse logo on it, which is in their parking lot. So that is pretty cool. Is Benjamin's our new sponsor? I'd love it. I don't, and again, I might be repeating myself, but Mr. Carlos, but one of the coolest things, probably in response to any of my videos, was the Benjamin's Calabash Seafood Buffet. After I had done it, they had posted a comment on the video that they loved it and they wanted to get in contact with me and send me like kind of a thank you. And they sent me this box full of t-shirts and hats, and like each t-shirt had like a $25 price tag. Of course, that's their gift shop price, but still, I mean, I'm still amused, or excuse me, humbled is the right word, by it, because they could have just sent like a 20%, nothing. They didn't have to send anything, but in theory, somebody would say, hey, thanks for doing that video of such and such place. We're going to send you a 20% coupon or something. They sent t-shirts, hats, a bag, gift certificates. Like, that was super cool. And it wasn't my best video ever, but looking back when the channel started, it was a good video for the time. And I love the ending where I kind of had some freeze frame or slow motion on the lightning bolts that were happening behind me, because that was deep in summer around my birthday. Please pray for my friend's family. His niece isn't doing good today. She's had bad sickness going on. She's only 9 years old. Absolutely. Hope, I know you've had a series of things going on, Hope. So I hope that you are, things will be better for your family and friends, and certainly prayers for you. Yes, absolutely. Hey, don't go knocking some sense into your head. You'll show up the rest of us. I know. By the way, when I was goofing around with that, I actually did hit myself with that hammer. Kind of hurt. Yes, we're just glad you had time to spend with us. And likewise, I never want to make it sound like, or even if it ever comes off as like it is no trouble at all. Like when I was talking about setting up all this stuff, it's really about me more justifying how late I get on, rather than making any kind of statement. Like it's certainly, it is a joy to meet with you all and do that. I checked my computer just to make sure I had not missed you. I know, because some days, like, if the family's running errands or out and about, what I'll do is try to do it earlier, but they were home earlier today. And so, yeah, I just wanted to do that. That is great that Benjamin's did that. I'm still nobody in response. Like on paper, if anybody wanted to be polite like that, it'd probably be somebody up in little Switzerland, because that video, helped reestablish that little tiny town on the map, or at least partially. But I will tell you that the Eclectic Candy Man, I've had 2 or 3 people reach out with, off-brand, made in China. And by the way, that doesn't always mean it's not a good tool or something, just because I do all that USA stuff. That's more on the collector's nostalgic, like finishing my tool set kind of stuff, but kind of just saying it's like like one-off products that people are trying to promote. I've had like 3 different people reach out. But the problem is I've never set up like a PO box or something. So in fact, I got an email recently. It's like, would you it's very generic. It's like, you do an excellent job on your channel. Would you like to review our product and, on your channel or something like that? Um, I was about to sneeze and I'm like, I don't have a mute button. I'm sorry. And so, they're like $2 to $10 little trinkets. What would be really cool is if like, who said it? Was it Rita or, Foxy Wolf or Kentucky? Somebody said, like, wouldn't it be great if like Craftsman, actually, provided you product? The problem is that they would never, just, there is a true thing. Like if I had like on the Eclectic Handyman, like 25,000 subscribers, then I think a bigger company might say, hey, would you review our product? But it's kind of, I don't think it's as good press for them to have somebody with 500 subs, kind of rinky dink thing. But who knows? Someday, I don't pretend to think that's actually going to happen. But anyway, it's just kind of cool that those other folks have reached out, but not so much on this channel, just the one thing. Hey, Big Daddy, hope you're having a great start to your week and a nice Monday. If we mention Mr. Mountain Man, do we get complimentary order of hush puppies? They should. We're planning on going to Myrtle sometime this year, and I want to know your all opinion. A lot of channels will do refresher videos, whether it's Disney or travel or whatever. It could be their favorite restaurant or place, basically doing updated videos or whatever. The thing about that video, even though it wasn't my best, it was still pretty darn good. And it's kind of the de facto searched video for that place. So I'm torn between doing another video that can't really live up to the first and is redundant, and just do, if I'm in Myrtle, go to other restaurants, or out of kindness to how kind they were to me, give them even more, which I absolutely would. And maybe try to take a video in another respect. Like one of the things I mentioned the other week is that hilarious comment. Somebody's like, what a boring video. All we did is watch you eat crab and shrimp or something like that. Maybe trying to get more video of the buffet. I always get a little self-conscious of doing that because like somebody thinks I'm an inspector, or I record somebody on it that's, doesn't want to be on it, or I don't know. So I usually get pretty crafty about how I record those things. Anyway, give me your opinion on if you think that if I go to Myrtle, if I should do a refresher video or leave it be. It was a great video, and just leave it alone. Let that one be the one. Yes, prayers for hope, faith for sure. I got a discount of Feasters for mentioning Yankee in the South. So that was a big bonus, a bonus. Yeah, I did not know that they gave a discount for them. I've passed by that place. The Craftsman deal's coming soon. So for those of you that watch on that channel, and I still, by the way, I have a boatload of, I have tools that I acquired a year ago and still haven't made a video on. So, I have oodles to do on that other channel. Like those wrenches that I just did that video of yesterday. I've had those like 6 months or something like that. And, just, kind of spacing them out, but also a time thing. But, I'm usually all about the USA blends. You guys know the story, but to be honest with you, if they sent me like the new stuff, I mean, when you're talking about hand tools, I mean, forged, metals and the way they're made, these things are good for any homeowner, whether it's Harbor Freight, Craftsman, all that stuff is really good. Where it really gets to be a difference for people is which I am not, if somebody's a professional mechanic, aviation or automobile or, you name it, those people, they need like Snap-on and like extremely high quality, using wrenches and sockets and air tools and electric tools and stuff 8-10 hours a day. Stuff breaks and they need the best of the best of the best, and it'll pay 5x. But when you're a home weekend warrior, that's any tools are actually not that bad. In fact, I should make like a commentary video on the other channel, kind of going through that someday. If they were in their heyday, Mr. Mountain would have had a Craftsman commercial, would have been the Craftsman commercial guy. Well, didn't do you guys remember that show uh what was it, with why am I having Tim the Tool Man, why am I having such a um Home Improvement. Yeah, Home Improvement. And I think it was the other guy that was the neighbor. No, not the neighbor, not the neighbor. It was his buddy on the show. I thought he did some Craftsman commercials at once upon a time. I might, check me on my memory there. Hey, Mike, hope you're doing well down there in Florida. The love bugs, maybe they've subsided. Some rough news in the state of Florida, I'm sure, as you're all aware. Speaking of prayers, that horrible building collapse down there in Miami. Just absolutely atrocious and awful what happened down there. So, yeah, anyway, definitely prayers for the folks surrounding that. But anyway, hope you are doing well, Mike. Where'd you get that last toolkit? I've been trying to find American made things for my dad. So, interesting that you asked that, Hope. I did reply to the comment. So, the tools that you see me acquire on the other channel haven't been made in 10, 15, 20 or more years. And I buy them, most of them, off of eBay. And what happens is there's a lot of people out there all over that had bought tools over the years that never used them. Maybe that was their dad's tools. Maybe it was their own tools. Maybe they got something on sale and they don't need them anymore. So they sell them. And I camp out and wait for the things that I want, and then I acquire them. And I usually do pay a little bit more than what they cost originally at Sears. If I don't know what your dad, but the things I was just talking about, what your dad does, or if he's not a professional mechanic and you're just trying to get him a nice gift, to be honest with you, like any tools, anything like Harbor Freight, if you've ever heard of that store, or if you look it up and have one near you, they're all import tools, but their Icon series is superb. Like any new young kid, that's going to be building up their own tools. Nowadays, to me, it would either be Craftsman at Lowe's and Ace Hardware, or Icon over there at Harbor Freight. So for your dad, I mean, unless he's collecting or has some specific thing about USA made tools, really the ones that I'm talking about are very good. Like you can get Craftsman made tools. They're made by Stanley Black and Decker, and most of them are made in Taiwan and China, but they're really reasonably priced, and you can get sales at Ace and Lowe's all the time. If you absolutely want USA made tools, you will pay about 4 to 5x. You have to get into brands like SK, Mac, Snap-on, and these are only the hand tools, and they're very expensive. So anyway, hope that helps. It's a very interesting conversation. I go on and on about that, but this is the Mountain Man Monday, not Eclectic Candyman. Although I do have one news story that kind of blurs the lines a little bit tonight. Yeah, hope you had AC in your tent, Mike. It's been hot. We are definitely getting into the thralls of summer. It is getting hot and humid right now. Everything needs updated from time to time. We say go for it. That is in reference to the buffet video. Great. There's one vote for updating it. Let's see. Hey, Story Has It. How are you doing? Hope you're having a great start to your week and a nice Monday. Thanks for joining us again. I know it had been a while and hadn't seen you, and it's really nice to have you. I know it was actually, I don't keep a database of everything in my head, but sometimes when I remember, I know that there are certain people that make it on here more often when I come on later, and there are certain people that make it on more often when I get on earlier. And so I'm glad you'll be able to make it. Yes, Home Improvement was the show. Tool Time, yes. And that was the show within there. New videos at Myrtle Beach would be nice. It might get new people's attention. Yeah. So when I go to Myrtle, I'll definitely be making some videos. Last time, I love the way that I broke it down. I did dining, entertainment, shopping, and overall like tourism. And so I made 4 videos. And so we'll see if, making it to Myrtle about trying to do something like that again. I'm an Ace Hardware guy, and I got one right around the corner. So Ace Hardware is awesome. I like Ace Hardware for several reasons. One, if you ever need an individual bolt, nut, or washer, which I did this weekend, I needed a series of self-tapping machine screws and washers for the Mustang, that particular thing. And they have that kind of stuff. They're also extremely helpful. Like you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, you won't see anybody. You have to like track somebody down. Do you know where the duct tape is? I mean, I don't know. And so, but at Ace, you'll never have that problem. You walk in the door, like, how can I help you today? They usually have plenty of people. As far as prices, they're still really good. And our Ace hardwares around here always have coupons. I always have 20% off one item, 10% off propane tank for like the gas grill. And I also am an Ace Rewards member, and you can get like reward certificates after you spend. And to top it off for my Craftsman fans, if you find an Ace Hardware out in the middle of nowhere and you start sifting through their Craftsman tools, guess what you'll find hiding? Craftsman made in the USA tools that have been sitting on the shelves for like 10 years. You can't find everything you want, but you'll find a screwdriver or a wrench or something. It happens a lot. I've found it. uh, I have videos upcoming on my other channel of some kind of cool stuff I got at Ace Hardware that was made in the USA and sitting around collecting dust. Al and Tim, the Toolman Taylor, Home Improvement is the show and the guys you think of. Thank you, Hope, Faith, and I think it was Al. I thought Al did some Craftsman commercials for a while. I get a lot of my tools at Lowe's now. Yes, Lowe's. They since they got the SBD Craftsman line, and they used to do a lot with Cobalt, but they've shifted a lot over. But there's a lot of same things, some things at Harbor Freight. The only thing I don't like about Harbor Freight is for eons they did 20% off coupons, and now they've gotten rid of coupons. There was another little company that did that once upon a time. I don't know if you guys ever used it, but JC Penney. So pennies from maybe like the year 2000 to about 2012 or 15, always every Sunday in the paper, you could get an amazing coupon. I know this as a family guy because we would shop, it would be like 10 off 25. Now, 10 off $25 is an amazing coupon. You go in there, you can get something for yourself or the kids or whatever. 10 off 25, you're walking out there 15. You're not spending 200 and just getting 10 off. You go right for, spend $27, get $10 off. And it was not only the consumer effect, you felt like you were saving money. You really were saving money. And then it didn't matter if it was on sale or whatever. So a new CEO came along, and I don't know exactly what year, is like 2012, 13, 14, 15 or something like that. And they had the brilliant idea. Guess what? We have the consumer in mind. We're going to stop doing coupons so you don't have to cut them out and do all that. We're just going to have everything at our deep discount prices. Well, it turns out a lot of people like that feeling of giving the coupon at the register and feeling like they have saved money on something. Whether it's a placebo effect or real or not. Well, Harbor Freight has done the same thing, and I liken it to what happened at Penny's. I do not like having coupons, and I tell you, this has happened to me. I used to shop at Harbor Freight almost every weekend because I knew I had a 20% coupon, clipped to my wallet. I would go in there, buy one thing I needed, and get 20% off. I don't go in there anymore because I know everything is like just the price. And so it does have an impact. It may not for you all. Maybe you would say, I don't like coupons or a pain in the butt. I don't want to look for them. I prefer it to be cheaper. But guess what Penny's did, by the way? Penny's started to move towards bankruptcy, as a lot of retail did. And they did an about face 3 to 5 years later. And currently now you're back to JCPenney rewards and getting coupons and all kinds of stuff like that. So the point being is that these companies that have built a reputation around having discounted goods, and on top of that, you can get a coupon and save money, I think they shoot themselves in the foot when they stop doing the coupons. That's my opinion, and it's even in my shopping habits directly. I got my tools at, oh yeah, I only have 5 screwdrivers. Well, speaking of Harbor Freight, that at least that is a place if you ever want to build up like a dirt cheap set of, I just need something that if a screw falls out around the house, or I got to pop something open, or pry something over, or use a wrench to get something off. Literally, they have this set, their lower line called Pittsburgh, where you can get like a 100 200 piece set for like $39, and it will last forever, and it will be every tool you would ever think to need. Good to be able to join tonight. Yes, nice having you here as always. My other friend needs prayer. She's in really rehabilitation center and isn't doing good at all. She's in her early 50s. Absolutely. My wife used to work in rehab centers because she's a social worker, and so know that process, and so be praying for your friend. Ace Hardware in my town has been a fixture for decades, and two of this store's cats are always roaming around the store, which I think is cool. You know, that reminds me, Mike, when I was growing up, we had a little store called Connell's Hardware or something like that. Old school hardware store, wood floors, you know, buy nails, weigh them by the pound kind of thing with a scale, old school scale, stuff like that. Um, and it closed down, but I know what you're talking about. The only thing that was kind of, well, maybe you could appreciate that. I just did that whole spiel about coupons. Last year I was on my it was my birthday and I was out on the motorcycle in the mountains, and sure enough I saw an Ace Hardware. It was up in Burnsville, and I said I'm going to stop in there. And they did. They had, I don't just buy USA because it says USA if it's new, older stock Craftsman. I actually need it or want it, and they did have a couple little screwdrivers I wanted. And I had a $5 off coupon for Ace. And because the Ace hardwares are like independently owned, and this was a smaller town up there, they were not having it. They looked at me like I had like three eyeballs when I handed that coupon. Like, well, we don't, because I handed them my phone, which had in the Ace Rewards app the coupon. He's like, we don't take that here. I was like, well, why not? This is like the app that the whole Ace, you know, company, and they're like, we only take the paper ones. And I'm like, do they even issue the paper ones when it's rewarded in the app? He's like, I don't know. I was like, all right, whatever. So I just paid and left. But yes, if you find an Ace, I love Ace Hardware. I was there, like I said, just this weekend, and we actually, and the other day we were there buying pine. Finally got some pine needles and all that stuff. Everyone, please give this a like. I absolutely will. Let me find the button. Actually, on a different software. I appreciate that. I'm always humbled. Thank you if you do like it. You know, the one big thing about liking it that I think is a positive thing is uh you know, knowing myself, I'm not afraid to give myself constructive criticism, as you all have seen, like about my videos and stuff, and all my walk of life, like how I operate and do stuff. So I'm not afraid to say this isn't good or that isn't good. But I do think this live stream is fun, and I think we have good conversations. So sometimes I do feel like if more people could be exposed, just because it's such, I think we talk, I mean, look at the stuff we're talking about. I think it's interesting. But it doesn't get exposed without going through the YouTube process. And so part of that process, our thumbs up, do make a difference, because it's like, hey, I'm enjoying this. And then YouTube might say, well, let me promote that and show that on somebody's homepage when they log in, kind of thing. So I do appreciate it, you know. Harbor Freight wants you to join their Inside Track Club to get any discounts. Right. So I did join that. So I've been going to Harbor Freight for like 20 years. They had it down where we live in Florida, and they have it here in Asheville. I never joined Inside Track Club because their old coupon system, they had so many coupons from me back, especially in the early 2000s. The Inside Track Club appeared to be better deals for contractors and actually tradesmen, the coupons that they had. However, I had noticed in the last 5 years that changed a little bit, and there were actually decent coupons in there. So they had a deal running online about a year ago. Get 2 years of membership for $40, I think, and get a $10 um, gift card for free or whatever as a part of your membership. So the net $30 cost for 2 years, which means I need to save $15 a year. And I already needed a stand for a tool I got, which will be in one of my videos, which I've forever been sitting in the garage. And that particular coupon was like $10 off. So I finally broke down and did get the Inside Track Club. Also, there is one little hidden gem that nobody talks about with the Inside Track Club, which is every time you go to Harbor Freight, you have to reinitialize your identity. They will never. Do you get our coupons and emails in the mail? And you can't just like, no, I just want to check out. They're like, well, let me get your email. If you give them the Inside Track Club, they won't ask you any of that stuff. They will just take the card. Oh, hey, good to see you again. And then they just check you out. So you don't have to call. Yes, my phone number is blah, 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 blah. And here's my email. And so it's kind of like a hidden little thing. It's almost worth it just to pay for it, so you don't have to answer all the questions. Did you check your comments on that? Oh, Larry, talking to Larry. I don't like digital coupons. I'm old school. I am indifferent. Don't mind both. I cut paper coupons. I use them at Ace. I used them at Harbor Freight. I like to flip through physical catalogs. Um, if a company is only going to offer a digital experience and wants me to use the app because I carry my cell phone everywhere, I'll play their game and I'll show them the digital coupon. At the end of the day, I want to save money. So if it's a paper coupon, great. If it's going to be on the phone, I just want to not have any problems with the business. For example, and this is not an example of getting having problems. Golden Corral, we go there about once a week or whatever, you know, once every other week or something like that. And there are two. First of all, if you go to Sam's Club, you can get $50 in gift cards for 37.50. Yeah, I think it was like 25% off. So you're paying out of your pocket 37.50 for $50 gift cards. You go over to Golden Corral and the whole family and you use the gift cards. Then on top of that, Golden Corral now has an app that if you put the number in from the receipt, every $100 you spend in the restaurant, you get a $10 off certificate. So I'm already paying 25% less. They don't know that because I'm giving them the gift cards. And then every two-ish times or more, or whatever, however it calculates to, I'm getting $10 off. And so Golden Corral is like paying us to go eat at the buffet. But they have digital only. And when I went there, I showed them, and the kid at the register was like, I don't know how to use that. But the manager's right there. He's like, oh, no, the whole system's new. And he taught the kid how to do it. And they couldn't scan the phone, but they had to go through this process. So I agree with you, Mike, in the sense that I think the digital experience is still kind of in its early years for coupons in some businesses because they get a little confused, and others are they're just really good. They just got it going. My brother-in-law is a tool, but he's not a craftsman. That's pretty good, Mr. Carlos. Okay, that's zing, right? Hey, Mr. Mountain Man, a little late to the show. Good to see you, friend, and you as well, Smoky Mountain Rough Rider. I hope you're having a great start to your week and a nice Monday. Rita says, I hate it when I get disappointed with what I buy at Sam's. I got some Wolf Family barbecue. It is very greasy, not tasty at all. I bought Members Mark barbecue. Is good and $2 cheaper. Yes. Well, first of all, that's some good feedback. We shop at Sam's. Members Mark is normally, which is Sam's Club brand, very good. Not super familiar with the barbecue, but that's good feedback. I forget. So, this is interesting because this is on topic. Again, this is all the great conversations we have. My wife went out to get, she's been working hard. I was like, go out, and she's wanting to get her nails done. Go get your nails done. It was Friday and she went and got her nails done. And she went to a nail place, and the communication wasn't that good between her and the person. And all she wanted to do is get a pedicure, which is like your feet, get them cleaned up and they paint your toenails or whatever. And it was supposed to be like $40 or $60. And I'm going to get back to what Reed is talking about here. Trust me, between toes and barbecue. But what happened is it's supposed to be like $40 or $60, but there was really poor communication, and the guy who was doing her nails got frustrated and left, and the manager was yelling at him, had to get a replacement, and they took forever. And then they said they weren't going to rush her because it was closing, but then they were kind of rushing. And she gets to the register, and the lady's like, it's $110. $110. This is not a spa, by the way. And for those of you that are the guys or don't do nails and stuff like that, like just, in theory, follow along. Like usually like these hotel spas are really expensive, but these like little local nail places like Walmart or these things are cheaper, and they shouldn't be that much. She's like, what are you talking about? I asked for one extra thing. It's like, maybe it was, 60 or 80 or something like that. A long story. It's ungodly expensive for nails, by the way. I mean, like, what the heck? But my wife's like, I'm only paying 80. And the lady's like, if you do that, we're calling the police. Trust me, Mr. Mountain Man family, we don't get in trouble for anything. So that was crazy. So my wife paid. And, the point, what I'm getting to is that reviews make a big deal these days. Like companies and products have to There's no more, it's more difficult nowadays to pull the wool over people's eyes and try to trick people by selling garbage or having awful service, because you're going to get told on basically. So in the case of a business, if you go to a restaurant, you go to a salon, you go to a hair place, you get your lawn cut, you get a plumber, and they don't do a good job, you go on Google reviews and you 1 star it or 2 star it and you give an explanation. Conversely, if they do well, you give it a great rating. I used to use TripAdvisor a lot, and I would give a lot of restaurants very good reviews and put pictures, and I'm sure that helped them. But if there was something bad, I would, I didn't do a lot of 1 stars, but there were some 2 stars for cleanliness and stuff like that. So, on that long tangent about stuff, like if you buy a product, and it's not good, oftentimes rating it poorly through whatever system or means. Like in the case of the barbecue, I'm not sure if Sam's Club online or even Walmart at the product level for groceries. I knew they do for clothes, socks, shirts, whatever, sporting equipment, kids' toys, whatever, down to buying tape or whatever, they all have ratings and you can review, the ratings. So this is one that maybe if you can get online, I think Sam's Club does. Like, let me, you know what? I'm just going to look Wolf Family BBQ Sam's and let me see real quick. You know what, Rita? I think I found it. Well, actually, the one I found is called, no, this says Butcher's Select. And I'm not sharing my screen, but Butcher's Select does have a rating. And the rating is a 2.9. And there are 47 5-star reviews, meaning good, and 59 1-star reviews. And people are just keep walking, don't buy it, it's nasty, great, awful, we look forward to having this dinner, blah 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 blah, terrible. Anyway, you guys all know this, I'm probably telling you something you already know, but anyway, reviews are a great way to kind of keep things in check in the modern day of consumerism, I think, because I think it really helps let other people know how things are going. Let me see. I like when you goof off in the live stream. You're a sweet guy, Mr. Mount Man. I don't remember which part I was goofing off, but I appreciate it. And I do like to keep it interesting and lighthearted. It would be great for you, but I'd miss our nice small group. Oh, you talking about, if it got more people. Right. And I'm not talking about like a gazillion, but I don't know. I think in my mind, like, whatever. Numbers don't matter. The point of being is just, I think we have some fun conversations, and I thought maybe some folks might enjoy it. At my age, whatever gives me a discount, I go with. Absolutely. And some people, once they get to like, if they're, over a certain age, there are certain places that will give discounts, on like Tuesdays and stuff like that. Now you're getting me hungry with the Golden Corral talk. I'll tell you what, I don't want to do a video at Golden Corral, but I have found a way to kind of navigate to eat pretty healthily. I've talked about this before. Like my first plate is a mound of plain broccoli, no cheese, nothing. Just it's steamed broccoli and green beans. Now the green beans do have a saute or something that they use, and you can taste the salt in it a little bit. But I just pile it up. That's to kind of get me started by, getting some fiber, filling me up so that I don't, because I'm always, it's a gluttonous type place. You're going to overeat. Everybody does, but I'm trying to curb it a little bit. So I don't walk out of there with cramps feeling disgusting. So I got that big plate, and then sure enough, I do. I try to get a mixed, plate, the next 2 plates between baked fish, but I'll hit the fried stuff. I get the fried shrimp. If they have salmon, I'll get that. You believe it or not, the steak smells better than it tastes at Golden Corral. It smells amazing from out in the parking lot and in the place. But a lot of times the cuts you get are full of fat and chewy and gross. So I kind of gave up on the steak because I don't know. But I will tell you one thing, if they ever have it, if you ever catch them at lunch and they have those little burger sliders, I will be walking out of there with cramps because those things in the buns they put them on are unbelievably delicious. But anyway, on my second plate, I'll get a mix of, some of that, pick up a little bit more broccoli and do a couple plates like that. And then I will hit dessert. One of the things I'll get for dessert is one of their bread rolls with the honey butter. Oh man, that is a dessert in itself. Those things are The reason it's just like the Benjamin's Calabash Seafood Buffet. If you're a place and you want people not to eat the expensive stuff, your number one objective is to make the best tasting bread in the entire world. Because what does bread do? It fills the stomach. If one of your patrons eats 5 rolls and fills them up and they don't touch the steak that's really expensive, mission accomplished, you made money. So yeah. Costco does the same with cards, but you get 100 for 75. Yes. And whatever it chops it up to be. Some of the restaurants you do have to buy 100. I know Charlie's is another one. They've got 50 for 37.50. They have some good deals. So check it out, folks. If you're a member of one of these big box clubs, you know, that if you ever want to go out to eat, and if you still want the points on your credit card or whatever, you just buy the gift cards with your card and then use the gift cards, you know, at your place. So, you know, you get the best of all of it. I watched one YouTuber and he begs for people likes. He tells you how hard he works at putting out videos. Pretty sad. He gives good advice, but brags a lot. Oh, well, I certainly do not want to do any of that. No, that would be yucky. Um, I don't, you know, like the end of my Mountain Man videos say, please like and subscribe. But like, even I look at that outro sometime and I'm like, yeah, no, it's kind of, I don't know if I should tell people, but then I read another statistic that was like, you're supposed to remind people or they don't think about it. I don't know. It's a big game, isn't it? It's like a big video game and trying to figure out the puzzle. But tells you how hard he works at putting out videos. He gives good advice, but he brags a lot. Yeah, but I'm not. What does he brag about? Does he brag about the videos or like how good he is? Yeah, that, you know, I've talked about this a lot before, and I don't know if I bore people kind of the stages of being an amateur YouTuber, that with a steady, slow growth, you know, from excitement to euphoria to getting your first subscribers to kind of plateauing and then going through that double take. You know, is it worth the effort? You know, I'm putting in a lot of effort. I don't have that many people paying attention. So are you doing, then you just ask yourself, am I doing this for passion? Am I doing this for some other reason? And then some people quit at that point because it's, you know, this long road. I feel bad for people like that. I've talked about it. There was another YouTuber in the community, a real nice guy, and he had put out like 100 videos and had like 74 subscribers. And he's like, the heck with it. I'm done with this, you know? But then he came back in the community. I haven't checked in a while. But yeah, good reminder to be humble. Hey, Mr. Mountain Man, there's a singing coming up in Asheville the first week in July. Great gospel music there. There are always events going on here in Asheville. I probably don't promote as well as I should in the news and notes and stuff. I should probably try to lace in more. Like last week, I talked about the ice cream and stuff, and I was seriously hungry. Like, I don't think there was ever a live stream that I got hungrier than last week, because I did it earlier and I was hungry for dinner and we started talking about all that food. Literally, like my mouth was watering. And I was like, I went upstairs and I was like, there could have been like anything and I would have eaten it for dinner. Members Mark smoked barbecue 2 pounds, 9.58. Now that one you said was good and probably has a good review, but it was the other brand that was the bad one. So anyway, I did see that Sam's Club does have the ability to rate on a per food item. So that's a good way to kind of let people know. Does not have to beg for likes. We love them and give those likes up willingly. I appreciate it. Again, it's really cool. Thank you, Foxy Wolf, and everybody. Again, I'm very humbled. You know, I never, by the way, I never want to glaze over when somebody says that in the chat. I've kind of, it's just me. But I even Larry, I know you said if it got bigger, it would, you know, change the dynamic. But if that ever happened, I swear the one thing I want to vow to do is that if I'm not saying this would ever happen, but if it did in theory, that any compliment or support of the channel, that would always be read. I don't ever want to glaze over when people are being polite like that. Like if it got so busy I couldn't answer every question or something like that, but like when people are like, you know, your channel's great or this or that, those are things I would feel like crap glazing over that. It's just so, when people take the time to be polite in this world, it's such a nice thing. I was telling my kids that yesterday. We were at a traffic light. This guy in this Lay's potato chip truck was next to me, and I happened to look over. We were at a red light. We're both there, and he was pointing, could he get over my lane? And I was like, absolutely. Like, so when the light turned green, I just held and let him go, and he got over. And I was trying to explain to the kids, I'm like, the world has a little bit of a domino effect like that. I said, you do one nice thing for a person. And I said, imagine this. So I let the Lay's potato chip driver get in when he couldn't make it over to get on the interstate. So now he's feeling pretty good about that. And he goes and drops off his next load of potato chips and gives somebody there an extra bag for free as being kind because he's in a good mood because somebody else was nice to him. So somebody at that job gets a free bag of Frito-Lay's potato chips and they're hungry. And that guy goes home and he's feeling pretty good because the Lay's guy gave him an extra bag of potato chip. So he gives his wife an extra kiss on the cheek or something like that and says something extra nice to her. And she goes, wow, why was John being so nice tonight? Well, he was in a good mood because he had a great day at work. And then the lady's nice to her neighbor because her husband came home and it was a good mood. I'm serious. Like each thing works like that. Now, take the inverse of it. Guy pulls up to the light, starts pointing at the lane, and I kind of, whatever. And I get on the gas and I block him. And now he can't get on his exit and he is late to his delivery. Well, he gets to the next place and he chews the guy out because he's short with him because, he was late for the thing. So that same guy goes home and now he's short with his wife because he had a bad day and got yelled at work. And then the lady is rude to her neighbor. I'm telling you, it just goes on. So like this whole pay it forward or be kind, it's really not like foo-foo stuff. Like little small acts of kindness can go a long way. And I'll tell you what, last year was a year we probably definitely needed to be doing a little more of that and a little less of the other stuff. But anyway, that's Mr. Mountain Man's philosophy on being kind to others. It goes a long way. So bringing the whole thing full circle, I think that, when people are polite, I always want to yield to that, make sure I mention it. So thank you. I hate that happened to your wife. It's terrible. It was, and it really was unfortunate because I was trying to get her out and do something nice for herself. She works so hard and she has a hard time relaxing. And even that day, it was a struggle. Like I literally was about to lock her out of the house. It was like, go, and I'm going to be with the kids and it's going to be great. And we're going to have a good time. Just let it go. Everything's fine. And then she gets there and it was just rotten apples. And so, that was rough. So, the business can't behave like that. Like that's pretty rare, by the way. Most places like, oh, you told me it would be this much. They'll work with you. Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. We did. I'm going to go ahead and give it to you this time. Next time, make sure you look at the sign, whatever the case might be. But to be that stubborn and like threaten the police, we don't know. That's not that's not our neck of the woods that we hang out in. So that was really kind of crazy. I've had issues with a few restaurants and I just wrote to the corporate direct ending up getting free coupons. Yes. That's a great thing. If you're at a chain, you absolutely can because they don't want that. Like nowadays, I'm telling you guys, the consumer has a lot of power. If you have a problem with an airplane flight or some corporate type thing, you get on Twitter, which I don't have the account for Mr. Mountain anymore. But if you get on Twitter and you're like, yeah, you know what? That was dog doo-doo and the service was terrible on that flight and such happened. Those people will get a hold of you ASAP because they don't want that public image that there has been a problem, at their restaurant or on the airplane or, with their business or with some product. But small business, they can run it however they want. And that in this particular case was it was a very small one-off independently owned nail salon. And so, they can do what they want. So the only recourse there is, just Google review, that they didn't do well. I used to love Golden Corral. Try to stay away from the buffets now. And you know what? I got to admit that is really smart because there is just no way to cut it. The old thing, like make a fist that's the size of your stomach and that's about the meal size that one should eat. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that when I go to Golden Corral, I'm going to probably do about 4 fists or 5 or 6. The reality is it's just a lot of food. Usually on those days, I probably have missed breakfast and it's like brunch, lunch, breakfast and lunch combined, which I know isn't always, the science behind that and stuff like that. And also the excuse or justification, I should say, for the weightlifting that I do. I can eat a little bit more and have a slightly higher caloric diet because of supplying the muscles with protein and nutrients. But that doesn't mean I can eat garbage. Nope, don't go there for a good steak. Right. And that's kind of the thing. It's not a bait and switch, but there's a reason it's only 14 or $15, which I have no problem. I think it's awesome. Like we went out like a week and a half ago to some other restaurant, and our kids are starting to want, like, the kids meals aren't big enough for them, but the adult meals are too much. But it's starting to get really pricey, and you go somewhere and the portions aren't very big, and the bill gets really expensive on a family budget, but yet you're paying an a ridiculous amount, and people are still hungry, or it's not satisfying. That's when I leave and I feel like, you know what, that was expensive, waste of money, and we didn't even get that great of food. So that's why these days it's kind of like the buffet, because there's something for everybody. And so the sit down restaurants with the limited menu type things, sometimes that's a little bit more challenging with the family. All of our Golden Corral shut down. My man, are you making me so hungry? Just like your Instagram pics. I know. I think that's okay, okay to say a lot. Lots of people probably don't know about the likes and subscribe. Yeah, and I'll tell you, in my own observation, the travel community over here is more off opt to support channels and like almost every single video they watch of somebody that they subscribe to. Over on the how-to side of the fence, not at all. I'll have 2 or 3 thousand views on a craftsman video and like 30 thumbs up. So percentage wise, people are watching, but people aren't liking it. They're not thumbs downing it either. It's just, it seems like over in that community, people are just, they just want to watch it. They're not into the like and subscribe. So maybe to what you're saying, Larry, that a reminder is needed in certain parts of the YouTube community. It seems less needed here, but in the other areas, maybe a little bit more. I will also tell you guys that I've mentioned this before, but I'll mention again, my homepage is curated to amazing things that I will like on YouTube based on my likes mostly, and dislikes. The problem is that when I start watching things like that I have helped me or I'm appreciative of, but I don't want YouTube to think that I like it, so that it starts curating my homepage. So, for example, like one of the things is if I ever look up a how-to video, I try to change my account over to the Eclectic Candyman, and then I will give it a thumbs up. But if I'm on Mr. Mountain Man and I quickly go look up like how to repair a watch or do something, I don't want to start thumbs upping, because then all of a sudden my home feed, I'm going to get like, how to, something with a watch. And I'm like, I don't want to watch. That's not what so there are certain times strategically that I will purposely not thumbs up, because I want to keep my main YouTube channel to my entertainment value to kind of like it. Anyway, Golden Corral needs a grilling steaks class from Mr. Mountain Man. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what they need is just to buy a different cut of steak. But then it wouldn't cost $15. It'd cost $25. I didn't mean to fluster you. You're nothing like him. Believe me. Everyone's always says like and subscribe at the end of their video. Some people don't realize it's free to subscribe. Right. Yeah. That's a good point too about this free to subscribe. People think of the word subscribe and you think, oh, is that $9.99 a month? I mean, that is a good point, because a lot of our world subscribe to what? The newspaper, the magazine, the online site, the meditation, subscription, usually the word subscription. That's a good point. I always assume people would know, but they might not. Hominy Valley Singing is what it's called, Mr. Mountain here in Asheville. Thank you for that. And again, I should be posting more of what's going on in Asheville. Yes, be kind. Absolutely. Doing kind has a domino effect. Yet just what I was, trying to convey there. It takes more muscles to frown than smile. That's right. It is. I remember years ago, there's only one international symbol in the world that's understood across like all cultures, languages, or parts of the world. And people would say like the thumbs up, or, the okay, or, like a high five or a handshake. And a lot of cultures, like, this is like up your rear and, like derogatory things. It's the smile. because you can't, it's a human reaction to smile. So it is the universal message of, something made somebody usually happy. And it does take more muscles to frown. I see people are leaving. I know, and I haven't even gotten to the housekeeping or news and notes. Always good to pay it forward. I have had my meal paid for me by the person at the car ahead of me at McDonald's. So nice. I remember there was that movie or whatever called, I don't know if I ever watched it. I think I did watch it, Pay It Forward, but that concept. And it's happened to my sister, Dita, about the pay it forward, kind of like what you're talking about, Rita, at the drive through. So, usually just small acts of kindness. Sometimes even I'll see somebody that might have a Steelers shirt on, go Steelers, or hey, that's a cool car, or, you know, um, the little things make people, nice. They really don't want the viral video of something bad. I forgot, Larry, on what that was connected to. Refresh me. I'm sorry. When it comes to food, I'll take the viral video. Oh, was this in reference to like what I was talking about, like Twitter and feedback, and like a company doesn't want like, yeah, like somebody like, picking their nose and then serving, you your dinner at a restaurant, something like that. Yeah. For sure. When it comes to food, I'll take quality over quantity. It's weird because I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. Certainly. I feel we're kind of in a stage of our life right now where it's kind of quantity over quality. I think we're more in the CC's buffet and Golden Corral kind of age right now. I ate over 5 or 6 fistfuls tonight for supper. It was so good, right? Sometimes it just happens. You just gotta go for the walk in the mountains or wherever you are, and just kind of burn it off a little bit if possible. At least I try. I hope I try to have balance. Even McDonald's gets spendy with a family anymore. Yeah, like that's the thing. We can go to McDonald's and you're right, it might be 30, 35, 38, getting on 40. And then you start thinking, geez, Golden Corral, I could go there for 50 or 60, just a few dollars more. So yeah, yes, definitely. I think in general, quality over quantity. The drinks at Golden Corral can run up the cost. I forget with the kids meal if it comes with it or not, but you're right. Oftentimes my wife gets water and I'll just, get unsweet tea or something like that. I enjoy cooking. I prepare most of the meals in my home. Mike, I was talking to my wife about that the other day because she was making tacos I love. I was talking about that last week, and she made lasagna the other day that was really good. And the truth be told, it does get to a point where, if somebody in the house, somebody is a halfway decent cook, and you go out to these restaurants and you start paying the price, with some sort of expectation based around that price. You get a nice dinner and it's $28.99 at a sit down restaurant or something, and it's not good. And you're like, geez, what could I have done? I could have bought, a couple of porterhouses and thrown them on the grill for that price, or maybe one or something. So I do think that it is, maybe underrated, the home cooked meal. The thing about going out that we enjoy is usually after a long week and all the rigmarole, we're just always on the go. Sometimes it's nice not to, from, wife and family and stuff, have to prepare or clean up the kitchen and do stuff like that. Healthier options too. Absolutely. Every time you cook at home, 100 to 1, it's going to be healthier. Have you ever thought of a countdown to your live streams? That way some people can get the notification from you. No, the best I've done is just, again, the create post, which I believe you've seen before. And just because of the volatile nature of what time I'm going to come on, that's about what I've been doing. Like so many things in life, less is truly more. It has always been one of my quotes I live by. It sure is. Sometimes, that can go to clutter in the house and food and activities in life. There really is. I think I think I was at the bookstore once and I saw a couple of books that were all slight variations of that title: less is more, or lessons in life, or how to live, more streamlined, things of that nature. And there's a real logic to it. There really is. The live stream just makes me happy because everyone is so nice, and several of them have YouTube channels I love to watch. Absolutely, a lot of great folks here, a lot of good content. And as I'm sinking down under the comment, peeking above, can I do like what's that called? Like the mime? It's getting late and I'm getting goofy. Such a wonderful group. I think a reflection of Mr. Matt. I appreciate that. Again, when I do that, that's my cap off to you. The cap I'm not wearing. I'm humbled by that. Thank you. Very, very kind. My wife does all the cooking in our house, so I like taking her out to eat to get her out of the kitchen. Yes, that's a great thing to have a little balance. Friday, Saturday, or whatever day, or maybe it's the midweek. That is a great opportunity to do something like that. Tacos are much better at home, and you can put more in them. Where's the meat? Right? I know. I told you about the nacho taco shells. You got to try those. We use the ground turkey, and you're right. We have my wife put all the fixings. Like onions and olives and green onions and cheese and sour cream, refried beans, lettuce, tomatoes. I don't use all that stuff, avocado, but it makes it really delicious. Hey, before I forget or not forget, moving along, let's get to housekeeping for the week of June the 28th, 2021. I'm going to tell you a story real quick, very quickly, because I just remember when it was this date. This date is somewhat special, it's kind of like officially, unofficially, when my wife and I a long time ago started, becoming like boyfriend and girlfriend, or a couple way back when, in the late 90s. What had happened, we went on a cruise, Royal Caribbean cruise, was called, I believe, Monarch of the Seas. And what was supposed to happen is that my family was supposed to go on a cruise for New Year's 1998, 99, 99. And it was, there was a problem. The cruise ship had run into coral reef in St. Martin because there was a medical emergency on board, and a series of human errors by the captain and his crew. I don't even think the captain was on bridge when that happened. They ran ashore and they tore a huge hole in the boat. Nobody was hurt, but the ship was inoperable. So my mom got a call that the rope from Royal Caribbean, or the whoever did the travel arrangements, and said, "Listen, we apologize, but that ship has had a major issue and has to be, I think they dry docked it, and it's going to take months to repair. Please pick a future date and the cruise will be free." So that was great for my parents. So they just picked a week in June of that next year, and lo and behold, that's when I met my wife. She was going to Purdue at the time, and I was going to UNC Charlotte. And so, but she was, living with her family in the summer, and her family lives down in Puerto Rico. And so so we hit it off. But this was pre cell phones and texting. This is back in the day when you paid long distance bills. There was email and stuff like that. But I remember calling her the next day after we got on the ship, and I was asking her yesterday. I was like, "Did you think that I would actually call you, or did you think it was just a boat thing and the distance?" And she's like, "I didn't really know. Like, I figured it was just one of those things." And so she was super surprised when I did call, and called up, and I think her dad answered, and she was out in a walk. And then she came back later. I was bowling that night, and I came home and gave her a call. And the rest is history. I ended up driving a lot between North Carolina and Indiana that following year to go visit her at Purdue. And then eventually she migrated south to where I was, and the rest is history. But a lot of that happened in the latter weeks of June, many, many moons ago. And actually, this year will be our 20th wedding anniversary. So pretty neat, that little story right there. I think a few people left when I talked about that. So hopefully I'm not boring people. But let me see if there were any comments on that. Oh, thank you. Yes, that is the Instagram account. I'll be showing pictures here in a minute. That cruise was on the Love Boat. That kind of was. And I'll tell you what was kind of cool about that. We went back on that same cruise for our honeymoon. And speaking of like bragging or feeling proud of something, that was kind of neat because they had like the honeymoon or anniversary event for couples that were on celebrating. and they had a special cake and such. And I vaguely remember, it's been a while, but they were like, does anybody have a story or want to say something? And I felt so proud that I was able to say, yeah, my wife and I just got married 2 days ago. And guess what? We met at the, Ain't Misbehaving Disco. I think that's what it was called. That's what it was called on the ship at that time. And now we're back here for the honeymoon. They're like, oh my gosh, you met on the ship and now you're back here. I'm sure we're not the only couples that something like that happened, but it was kind of against the odds. When you think about college age kids and being that far apart in a long distance relationship is just not common. So it was pretty cool. But one of the crazy things was when I was driving from Charlotte to um, Indiana, little did I know I was driving through Asheville all the time. Little did I know I'd be living here someday. So I think this is just the craziness of all the interconnectivity between all that stuff. It was really interesting story. You never know when you will meet the love of your life. I think everybody kind of has a story like that. Like if I didn't go to the grocery that day, I wouldn't have met, my wife or husband, or if I didn't go to that party or that get together or that day at church or this concert or, whatever, I wouldn't have met whatever. So anyway, it was kind of cool. The stinker is, so that ship, Monarch of the Seas, was sold to a company or transferred to a company that was a subsidiary of Royal Caribbean that was a Spanish cruise line. And they had remodeled the ship and everything was going great. And then 2020 happened. And the cruise industry was probably hit worse than anything, including the airlines. And that Spanish cruise line had to kind of they went defunct, including the ships. So I don't know if you've ever seen those documentaries of what happens to cruise ships, but they basically run them aground in these shipwrecking yards in like in Asia and the Middle East. And so that ship we met on just a couple of months ago, like April 5th, there's a video on YouTube. It's kind of sad. They took the it went from Monarch of the Seas to Monarch, and they ran it up on shore in Turkey, and they're just tearing the whole thing apart. So, kind of stinks, but would have been able to go on something like that again. But anyway, there's a little story of background about how I met my wife and a little bit of nostalgia there. Tips, tools, need help around the house. Check out the Mr. Mountain Alternate Ego channel at the Eclectic Handyman. Yes, do it. That channel is, usually I'm providing information on a more routine basis. But yes, thank you for posting that. I appreciate that. Again, the Eclectic Handyman. So let me get back to housekeeping. Let me go ahead and share. Let's see over here. We've got little bit on Instagram that I did this week. We have, oh, by the way, one other housekeeping thing. I did my first YouTube shorts. Now, people were asking about, I think specifically Kentucky Girl. I didn't see her tonight. One of the things I had to do, I did a little bit of research, and she was asking me if she's listening on delay or anybody else, what happened? Why am I not having my shorts show up and all that stuff? I was starting to do the research directly from YouTube's site. And according to what I had read in the process I followed is that I had to join and opt in the beta program because YouTube Shorts is still in beta. And if people aren't familiar with the term beta, that's software that hasn't been released fully to production and it's still kind of in a testing, mode like that. So you have to opt in order for shorts to show up, because I was going to do a shorts from the gym as kind of requested when I was bench pressing, but I couldn't get it wired up in time. There was no shorts option. So you're supposed to also be able to shoot a vertical video and then tag it, and then it will still show up as a shorts. What I had found, though, is that it's very, very persnickety on YouTube. If it is not exactly the pixel ratio needed to be recognized, it will not get picked up by a short. So I wanted to use the proprietary shorts software within the YouTube app in order to run a shorts. And sure enough, I had no problem creating one. So I think the homegrown ones, it seems like YouTube's a little persnickety about the resolution. And depending on the phone, if it's not shooting it right, it just might show up like some vertical video on your timeline that's 30 seconds long. So I did do my due diligence and found that out, but it did take a while. I was a little concerned because it alerted me that the beta program for YouTube is full, but nonetheless, at least for the shorts, I did get the update. Shorts showed up in my app. And then by the time I was grilling, I did do a shorts video. I do agree with everybody who had done it previous to me, whether that was Larry or Kentucky Girl and the others. I think Rita had mentioned it and some others. It is a good way to keep the community, connected. I obviously use Instagram. We all know the challenges that I have getting canned videos because of just the time and everything like that. We don't need to get into all that stuff, but hopefully I can use that as a conduit to keep things going, and kind of give you, little tidbits of information. So that's one thing in housekeeping. As far as over here on the Instagram, there were just 2 pictures this week. I had the flowers here. These are pretty cool. I tried to do a portrait mode, and I'm going to go through these quickly because I'm looking at the time. Sorry, 10:30, and I haven't even started the news yet. And these were chicken sausages, which are delicious. We do them all the time. They were sweet apple, excellent taste. You talk about being a little bit healthier. Instead of going the bratwurst or sausage route, consider doing these chicken sausages. They used to be a lot more expensive when they were kind of a niche item, like 5-10 years ago when I was getting them. Nowadays, you just have to look for them. You can get them at Walmart or whatever. So those are pretty nice. So I do want to get to doing a video soon. I've got tons of ideas. I considered having made one yesterday, but plans changed. I have a plethora of things I want to do. There's no shortage of ideas or ability. So I hope to be shooting one real soon here on the Mr. Mountain Man YouTube channel. All right. So let me go ahead and stop sharing that and close this down. I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to news notes for the week of June the 28th, 2021. I'm going to go ahead and share that. I'm going to catch up on the comments here in a second. Give me 1 second and let's go ahead and share and present. I'll go back, turn off the banner, catch up on a couple of comments quickly. Great memories. Yes, it was. It was very, very good to be nostalgic about it. It used to be something that was a little more recent, but now it's starting to, more than 20 years, actually, 22 years ago. So yeah, that was a long time ago. But it was pretty cool. Hey, Dr. J, how you doing? Glad you could join us on the tail end here. Well, still haven't done my news notes, so glad you're here. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Nice Monday. Still not sure about using the shorts. I probably, based on the comments here, you probably heard everything that I went through. So yeah, I think it's it's at least a way that I can stay in tune because of the challenges I have getting, kind of the style of video that I do. So it's just another medium to be able to connect. I can get the, Instagram or short videos, the shorts, the full canned videos on Mr. Mountain Man, or over on the Eclectic Candyman. There's something always coming out there. There's actually a button on the YouTube app now that shoots a short on your phone. Yeah. So Larry, on mine, the button wasn't there. I looked high and low and under create. It wasn't there on my version. I had to go I followed the YouTube instructions and said, in order to use shorts, you got to opt in. I opted in. I clicked the link. It says within a couple hours, you'll get the update to the YouTube app. And sure enough, I didn't check hour by hour on Saturday, but by Sunday it was there. It was both under my create and there's a button on the app. So I'm not sure if once upon a time you had done it or not, but I did not have those options on my app because I assumed, I was like, oh, I'm going to go shoot a short. It wasn't there. It was not there. And then until I app in. I was going to ask how those taste. They tasted great. The chicken sausages were really good. And they're not overly expensive. And again, because they're chicken versus, the pork or whatever, they're a little bit healthier. Did you update your app? I did. It auto updated because the way I have my phone set up, it did. I have the button, but prefer to upload using my editing software. Yeah. So the whole idea behind shorts is it is definitely going to be in the raw mode. I mean, it's a quick, if you look at mine, it's definitely in the slop it together quick mode. But it was kind of fun. The only thing I haven't figured out, and I need to go back and look, is when you use the app, you're only getting 15 seconds instead of the whole 60. And I understood you could stitch them together, but I went back and forth, and I could not figure out on initial use how to string together multiples. So that would be the advantage of doing it and then using my own software. But the idea here, and trust me, Dr. J, you're speaking to somebody who is like on the perfection front. I don't want to put out any stuff that's not good. So I want to go through and edit and do all this stuff. But shorts, I just completely gave up. I understand it's just a completely different style of connecting with the community. So I'm good with it. And even truth be told, yesterday, I spent like an extra 10 minutes, like going back and cutting pieces out and saying things faster. I didn't just go bloop, bloop, bloop. I was trying to get used to how to use it. So anyway, something fun to mess around with. First article here, not exactly about the mountains, but Mr. Mountain Man, and a topic that anybody can probably relate to, at least in general. The article is titled here, All Electric Mustang Cobra Jet 1400 roasts the quarter mile with a new NHRA record. Tasca Shelby Mustang Nitro Funny Car driver Bob Tasca III, NHRA driver, by the way, got behind the wheel of an all-electric Mustang Cobra Jet 1400 at the NHRA Nationals yesterday and set a new world record. The veteran ran the Mustang Cobra Jet 1400 for a quarter mile in 8.128 seconds at 171.97 miles an hour, crushing the 8.27 seconds at 168 recorded in September of last year. The name of Ford's all-electric Mustang Cobra Jet 1400 might be somewhat misleading since it's throwing 1,500 plus horsepower to the rear wheels instead of 1,400. Ford says it's the equivalent to 3 2021 Mustang GT V8 power plants combined, and the Cobra Jet 1400 Mustang has proven its mettle. And most recently at the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Nationals at Summit Sports Park at Norwalk, Ohio. Right before I created this channel, I went to the NHRA race at Norwalk, which is near where my parents have their little place up there, and absolutely loved it. I've talked about doing like throwback Thursday videos prior and maybe tossing on a little overdub. That's definitely a candidate for some of that because the video I took was pretty good. That's one in queue for that. This is Ford's first factory fully electric dragster prototype launched in April of last year. There's something satisfying to see 1,500 horsepower going down the track and all you hear is the squeal of the tires. And in the other camp, another proclaimed in a run-on sentence, I have to say it wouldn't be the same without the sound and smell of race fuel. I won't pay to go see electric cars go down the track. Seems boring. It's nice to watch a race without having to bring ear protection, but does it feel as exciting? Yeah. So I watched the little video and I couldn't believe it. It sounded like a remote control car. It was like, you could barely hear it. Let me tell you something. I've said this before. I've been to 50 NASCAR races, maybe 100. NASCAR's loud. You have 43 cars going around the track, very, very loud. NHRA puts it to a new level. I mean, it must be like standing behind a jet engine, the decibel level. They are super loud. So when you're looking at the drag strip at a professional like Bob Tasca, you are expecting to, have your ears blown out, basically. That car you didn't hear a thing. I mean, as you'd expect. So it was really crazy to see this car launching and wheels coming up and going straight down the track. It's kind of crazy because the Cobra that I own, I was backing out of the garage yesterday and my wife doesn't always pay attention to that stuff, but she was like, your car, she's like, it sounds I wasn't asking her about it. She just said this out of the blue. She's like, it sounds really, really impressive, like really cool. And I'm like, oh, that's cool to hear. It's what I always wanted. I was like, I always wanted to get, one that sounded like I just love, that raspy V8 engine, loud, not obnoxious, but loud, really good sounding noise. So it's kind of crazy to think that this is happening with electric, I mean, who knows 10, 15 years from now, if NASCAR goes electric or hybrid or NHRA, or they have a class or fuel becomes the classics. That's what some people were chatting about, but yeah. So a couple of comments on here. I know racing isn't for everyone, but I'm a Mustang guy. And I just thought in generically speaking, to have a car go 170 miles an hour and have 1,500 horsepower and it's powered by batteries, I'm still getting used to that. But does it still have the race car sounds? Nope. So you probably wrote that before. I said, yeah, it sounded like a remote control car. I don't know if you can see the URL there, thedrive.com. If you just Google Cobra Jet 1400, this article will probably come up. The YouTube video was in it and it's unbelievable. It's pretty crazy. Did Hope leave? Somebody said, oh, I got to hit the bed. It's getting late and I'm getting sleepy. Please remember my request to also pray for me as well. Absolutely, Hope. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening and week. We'll be praying for you, and I hope everything goes well for you. Oh, I did miss a couple of comments up here. Um, you can have a video up to 60 seconds. Supposedly, YouTube has even popular music clips you can use in your shorts. That's right. It tells you on that you can. Yes, that you can do that. I still want to figure out how to stitch together more than 15 seconds because without having to use my own video. So that's what I want to do. I want to use the shorts software within YouTube, but make it longer than 15 seconds. So I'm going to try to figure that out this week. By the way, I did promise, and I kept my promise that my goal at the end of last week was I want to create a shorts, and I did it. I don't know if anybody paid attention to that. I missed the sounds. I certainly would as well, as you just heard me. My son got to drive a race car on the track, and he loved it. Yes, I mean, it's a thrill. Like, if you can go to closed circuit and do one of those courses, it's pretty cool. They used to have like the Richard Petty driving experience, and there's Corvette and a whole bunch of stuff. When we had our Goldwing, I had a cassette tape of a Harley motor sounds. I'd turn the player up full bore and play on the external experience, made the Harley riders look. That is awesome. I have to tell people that story. That is super cool. The electrics have immediate response when you put the pedal down, which gets a quick start, and then all that horsepower. Yeah, no lag. I mean, it's just instantaneous. So I just thought that was impressive, and I'd share it. I was in a little bit of an awe. I mean, if I had seen an article that said a 500 power electric Mustang, hit the drag strip, I'd be like, oh wow, they're making progress. But when 1,500 horsepower, I mean, I guess it shouldn't be surprised if you look at like Hoover Dam and the big turbines that run, and generate electric with the water. I mean, I get it. The potential to create massive amounts of electricity to turn something, is definitely possible. I saw the shorts video. It was cool. Thank you. Yes, I appreciate it. Just watch a video clip. It sounds like the old slot cars. Yeah. Oh, you found it, Mr. Carlos? Yeah. If you have the clip, I don't know if it'll let you post it in here, but if you have the YouTube clip, feel free to post it in here that I was talking about. So fun article, very fun. I enjoyed seeing that. All right, so the next one is back to the mountains. Statistically, the best time to visit Smoky Mountains National Park. I could be wrong on this, but the reason I posted that map there is because I kind of get this feeling that when people hear the phrase Smoky Mountains, Great Smoky Mountains National Park, they think of Gatlinburg and they think of this area right here. Not everybody. Some people on here are like, no, Mr. Mountain, that's not what I think at all. But it seems like Gatlinburg and Great Smoky Mountains National Park are synonymous, and that is the Great Smoky Mountains National Park is huge. And this red line going through the middle is North Carolina. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there are actually more physical square miles of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in the state of North Carolina than there are in Tennessee. It's not an either or thing. The point being is that Great Smoky Mountains National Park is huge, and there are a lot of entrances into it, and there's a lot to explore besides, but there are some of the most beautiful, like you can see Cades Cove over here and Newfound Gap, Roaring Fork and all of that. But, you come over here, Clingman's Dome, Oconalufi, all of this stuff. Fontana Dam and Fontana Village, that's getting out there by Tail of the Dragon, where I was, right over here on the Tennessee-North Carolina state line. And I remember riding along, I think it was 28 right there, and I saw this. I don't think I ever posted it to Instagram, but there was this like off the beaten path back entrance into the Great Smoky Mountains National Park down in this corner down here. It was really cool. So anyway, I just wanted to post that to let people know. Best time of the year to visit the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Kind of a lengthy article. I'm not going to read out the whole thing. But the NPS Rangers, National Park Service Rangers, will tell you that any time of the year is the best time of the year to visit the park. So we took a look at statistics and other factors for all the seasons to see what's best. People ask this all the time, by the way. If you look at the mountain community and the YouTube channels, people are constantly, the newcomers, when's the best time to visit? When's the best time to visit? So these are the kinds of articles that, might interest folks like that. In no particular order, I took the highlights of each season. Spring in the park brings unpredictable weather. March in particular has quite a bit of rain, and temperatures can still be below freezing in much of the park. In fact, you're still likely to see snow in the higher elevations. April, May seem Warmer temps and less rain these months, though, are best for seeking out waterfalls, with rains and snowmelt creating spectacular flows. From March to May, other than during the pilgrimage or holiday weekends, you'll see fewer crowds and lower lodging prices. Summer. July is also the busiest month. That's a couple days away, folks. When summer is the busiest season. However, fall gives it a run for its money. While summertime is one of the best times of the year to visit for the park's amenities and access to higher elevation, it's also crowded. So if you visit during the summer, try to check out some of the less popular locations, such as Abrams Creek, Balsam Mountain, or Foothills Parkway. Yeah, that's great advice. If it's busy, go off the beaten path. Do not go where everybody else is going. If you go, which I have, to Cades Cove on a Saturday in July, be patient. Bring a whole mountain load of patience if you go to Cades Cove on the weekend in the summer and it's pretty outside. Yes, you want to do that. So fall. October is about as busy as July in Smoky Mountains National Park. I would have figured, by the way, the fall is always the busiest because of the leaves. People come from around the world to experience one of the best fall foliage displays. Depending on the year, the trees can start changing color as early as mid-September and last through the end of November. That said, the best time to plan a leaf peeping trip is in mid-October to early November. Aim for the mid and lower elevations for the most deciduous trees and therefore the best show. You know, we talk a lot about trees turning colors in the falls and the mountains. One of the things that some folks don't realize is that if they don't time their trip perfectly, it's still okay unless it's completely past, because from the 6,000 foot elevation all the way down to about 1 or 2,000 feet, you're going to get the color change at different weeks. And so people are like, what's the week when the leaves change? Well, there is no perfect week. There's kind of a week when it catches all elevations, but there's some, so if you're early in October and you go up to Mount Mitchell, you'll get some. And where in Asheville, it might still all be green. But if you come in early or mid-November, you know, it might be already all the leaves are falling and snow's falling up at Mount Mitchell, but down in, you know, maybe the foothills, you know, or like a Pigeon Forge, you would get some leaves changing. So yeah. Hiking and camping are still enjoyable in the early fall. September has some daytime temperatures in 70, 80s. By November, you'll start to see highs around 50s and 60s. Keep in mind there's about 5,500 foot elevation change between the lowest and highest parts of the park, so be sure to check the weather for where you're going. The crowds slow down after school starts, but they surge again in October because of the fall leaves. To avoid them and keep your budget lower, schedule your trip in late September or early November. That's true. Late September is like the calm before the storm, because everybody's like, nah, I'm not going in late September because the leaves haven't changed. But yet school's in session. And I don't know about early November. That's still kind of leaf season. So I would say mid-November, like pre-Thanksgiving, but post-peak leaf season. Winter weather in Smoky Mountains National Park isn't quite as unpredictable as spring. However, you'll see a range of temperatures. Again, this depends on your elevation, but about half of the winter sees temperature above 50 degrees. Sometimes they'll even reach into the 70s. Most nights, though, are around or even below freezing. At higher elevations, you can even get into the -0 temperatures. Because of the lower temperatures and school being back in session, you won't see nearly as many people here during the winter. As a result, pricing for campgrounds, hotels, and other lodging is much lower than any other time of the year. Bear season. Smoky Mountains National Park has one additional season, bear season. Female bears usually come out of their dens in late March through early April. I'm looking, I think there's a moth hitting the window that's as big as my hand. Yeah, like anyway, sounds like a bird hitting the window. I tried to take a picture of it once. It's like literally a moth as big as my hand. That's what you get in the mountains. Female bears usually come out of their dens late March through early April. They're always dangerous, but having cubs around makes them especially defensive. July is another sensitive time when bears are mating. So if you're visiting during spring and summer, take note that they're most active in the morning or late evening. Best time of the day to visit Smoky Mountains National Park. As a bonus, we'd look at timing as well. As the most popular destination is better tour the park or hike the trailer early in the day. According to the park's website, the busiest hours are between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. So if you're an early bird, you know, that's a good time to go. Sunrise and sunset offer an opportunity for stunning photographs. In the summer, sunrise as early as 6:18 and sets as late as 8:53. Klingman's Dome and Newfound Gap parking area both allow you to view the sunrise from your car. though you can opt to take the short, steep hike to the observation tower at Klingman's Dome for more spectacular view. I absolutely want to go up there and do a video. I can't believe I haven't been to Klingman's Dome as much as I like Mount Mitchell. Any time is the best time to visit the Smoky Mountains National Park. Statistically, visiting Smoky Mountains National Park during summer, October is the best time, but really it's an amazing place at any time of the year. And you want to avoid the crowds and higher prices. Plan your visit for the months around those times. Then you'll almost always have the park to yourself. Have you ever visited Smoky Mountains National Park? Yes. So let's see what you guys had to say. Did you guys have anything to say? Yeah, really, yes. Anytime is a good time. Yeah, the article was quasi clickbait because that's really what it's summed up on. But they did have some good points about when's a good time. Honestly, if somebody wants to go to that area of the country, anywhere in the Smoky Mountains National Park, and they're not afraid of the cold and they don't care about the leaves and they just want the hiking in the mountains and the area, like January, as long as it's not like crazy snowing. Again, if they can deal with the cold, because you really are going to have it to yourself. And then, but again, when they're talking about those really, really busy times, they're talking about the high touristy areas outside, again, of Gatlinburg and such, which are probably the most probably entered part of the park there. Second would be down there off 441 down near Cherokee and such. But there is a whole lot of park here to explore. So, if we're not going to the kind of the cliche, kind of well-known Laurel Falls and Cades Cove and beautiful places, it's just, these are the places like you don't want to be on a Saturday in the summer. It's just crazy busy. So yeah, check out the short video. I appreciate that. If anybody's able to click on that, that's pretty cool. Thank you for posting that. Story has it. I appreciate that. They banned camping on certain stretches last week because of several bears attack. You can still hike during the day, but no overnight camping. Yeah, we were talking about that last week. I never did put the articles in the news notes. Actually, I did. I didn't put the one about the person getting attacked, but I did put the one about in Pisgah National Forest which is not Great Smoky Mountains National Park, but the Pisgah Forest over in these neck of the woods, they had closed it, just like you were saying. We live 15 minutes from the Smoky and went twice this weekend. That's fantastic. Did you find it to be what times did you go and how bad was the traffic and which part did you go? I don't care that much for Gatlinburg, but I love the Smoky Mountains all the way to Asheville. Beautiful views everywhere. It's like God made a movie. It certainly is. I mean, well said. And you're talking about historically, like some of the oldest mountains on Earth. If people aren't familiar with that is the truth. And so, somebody had just posted a comment like that on my Switzerland video. I don't know if I mentioned that. They said it's certainly not the Alps, because I had made mention it doesn't look like the Alps. However, these are the oldest mountains in the world. It's very cool. We were down a couple years ago over Thanksgiving and still had some pretty colors in the leaves. Yeah. The lower elevations, and it depends on the year too, and how hot September is or how cold and, how it is. The water is always ice cold, just an FYI. Yeah. Yeah. Depending on where you go, like we went to like Skinny Dip Falls one time up here, and the water was very, I would say, refreshing and crisp. And you're kind of right. I've had the hard shell bugs hit my window. It sounds like somebody knocking on it. Oh, wow. Yeah, absolutely. That's crazy. We try to avoid the absolute hottest months, and that's a good thing too. The only thing I will say about right now is the mountains are just, they're showing off, in my opinion. Like a lot of people will use that phrase for the fall. There's just something about that dark green when it's been raining, and the mountains are like, if I love the mountains when they are all lush and green in midsummer. It's probably because a lot of my early visits to the area and over the years to the mountains, were in the summer when everything was green. So there's just nothing like the Blue Ridge Mountains and this area when they're really, really, green and the sky is beautiful. I mean, the dynamic nature of the leaves turning is fantastic. I mean, that can't be beat too, but I do like it when it's green. I like hiking, but not when it's 90. And that's one of the things I used to talk about. I haven't had a lot about hiking on here recently, but I used to always tell people, especially those that visit over in East Tennessee and Gatlinburg, that And I'm kind of serious. I'm not completely tongue in cheek when I say, hydrating before a hike isn't going to the pancake pantry and having, a couple of sips of sweet tea or Diet Pepsi or a couple of drinks of water. I mean, it is getting loaded up because, even at the elevations, it could get in the 90s in the summer in East Tennessee and in the mountains. And people who are not weathered for that, whether it's heat stroke or passing out or just feeling awful, and not very good, it's just not a great idea. I mean, it's not something that's rampant, that's like a big, big problem, but it's just something to let people know, like, drink lots of water, not sugary drinks, and actually, be smart because you can get in trouble. We live in Greene County, so it's not as popular here. We saw a few families, but it's all, oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, so you're getting to explore the parts of kind of off the beaten path in the area that is shown here on the map. And that's fantastic. I mean, I think that's the way to go. Um, Bears are getting comfortable around people now. I bet they will start changing things on how you visit. It'd be interesting, especially over in that area we're talking about, because I know, like, when we've stayed in cabins, like, you see all kinds of bear activity. But over here in Western North Carolina, as I've mentioned, I don't see it as much, especially in our like area. Like, people are pretty good about keeping the trash locked up and stuff. So we just don't, when they're hunting for food, we get a lot of turkey, deer, and bear here where I am. And in this area, but I don't see bears that often, but we do get a lot of turkey and deer. So anyway, that was a fun article, and it's a good one to check out if you want to read it yourself. That was driving. Let me just give you the domain. It's DRIVINVIBIN, like driveandvibin.com. But if you just Google best time to visit Smoky Mountains National Park or part of that, you'll probably find this article if you're interested. It did actually have some good advice. One thing I don't give enough love to on this channel, and I should, being here in Western North Carolina, is the Biltmore. Fantastic place, historical place, the number one tourist attraction in Western North Carolina. History, it's just magnificent. I mean, that's just the word that goes along with the Biltmore, is magnificent. I'll just kind of quickly go through this article. The Biltmore's oak sitting room restoration is complete following 15 years of preservation work. Just the title alone was kind of interesting to me. I mean, what do you mean? You've had a room that they've been, restoring for or preserving for 15 years? I mean, that alone sounds like a lot of man hours. They say from the article, they say good things take time, but waiting out the 15-year long renovation of Biltmore Estate's oak sitting room was trying for even the most patient historical preservationists. Thankfully, the space is now restored. It looks just as extravagant as it did 100 years ago when the Vanderbilt family called it home. According to Lori Garst, the Biltmore's associate curator, the oak sitting room was part of the family apartment in Biltmore House that served as a private sitting room for George and Edith Vanderbilt during the Vanderbilt era, 1895 to 1914. It served as one of the few private areas where the family would take time away from the responsibilities of hosting a house party or interacting with their guests. Looks kind of cool. Look at all those. What do we got there? We got couch, a couple of tables. Looks like more like a living dining room. And then they've got that secondary area back there with some chairs, a couch, the fireplace, beautiful ceiling work, carpet. It's pretty nice. What was the reason behind the lengthy restoration? It turns out that the oak sitting room had not been furnished correctly since the Biltmore House opened in 1930. This information only came to light after the discovery of a letter from 1902 in which a guest named Joseph Choate referred to the room as Remembrant Gallery. The revelation completely transformed our view of the room and how it was used. Upon further research, Garst and her team learned that the oak sitting room was where George Washington Vanderbilt III displayed beloved works from his personal art stash, which took approximately 20 years to amass. Talking about some of those pieces have been in art museums. Given the value of the room's contents, it should come as no surprise that the space remained mostly behind closed doors while the Vanderbilts resided here. It was essentially an invitation-only kind of space, primarily reserved for family members and the Vanderbilts' closest guests. If you need further proof that no detail was overlooked during restoration process, consider the textiles. Traditional patterns were replicated based on letters, photographs, and other documents that were unearthed in the Biltmore's archives. Gar said that once a furnishing plan was created, fabric examples found in storage were reproduced. A team of conservators began to repair and clean the furnishings to return them to their original appearance. Could you imagine if the Vanderbilts were here today and they looked at it and they're like, that's not what the room was supposed to look like? And all these people are crushed. And they're like, no, we read all the letters and we thought that's what it was supposed to look like. Of course, I'm sure they'd have class and not say it like that, but it would be hilarious. But beautiful. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's interesting greens. There is something like you almost look like out of the 70s in that brighter green, but still an interesting an interesting an interesting article about the Biltmore. I definitely need to give more love to the Biltmore and because it is the crown gem of this area right around here. Last but not least is the weather, the upcoming weather. Very moderate for here in the mountains, 70s and 80s. And you get used to this weather when Wednesday rolls around, it's 85 and it feels like 100. I'm definitely not weathered like I was when I used to live down in Florida and it was high 90s and 100% humidity all the time. Now it gets in the mid to upper 80s. I'm like, good gracious, it's hot outside. But today that weather forecast was wrong because we didn't get any rain. It was beautiful and sunny all day. So I don't see a sunshine in any of those pictures right there, but that's also a lower chance of rain each day. So we'll see. We'll see if it greens up the mountains. So there you have it. That is the, let me get the, I'll leave that backdrop there for a second. The news notes for the week of June the 28th, 2021. Let me catch back up on the comments here. Have you ever been to the Road to Nowhere? I think it's in Great Smoky Mountains National Park on the north side of Fontana Lake. I have not, not unless I have and didn't know it. I don't explicitly know I've been there, but that's pretty. It's something I'll have to look into. One thing, mentioning this, Mr. Carlos, and other things. What I have found, and I don't have the books here. I showed them about a year ago that I got last Father's Day. There are hundreds, if not, no, not hundreds, thousands of things to do in the two-state area here in the mountains. When I say thousands, I mean book full of off the beaten path waterfalls and hikes and sightseeing and history and roads to travel, and of course all the in your face stuff, the Dollywoods and the Carowinds and the Asheville and the convention centers and the Cherokee and all this kind of stuff. There are just an unending. But it's funny, if you took those 5,000 things to do, it seems like about 40 of them are the things that 80% of the people want to do. So it's just the way it is. A lot of people like, just the very, very popular touristy things. So there's a lot of, what'd you say, hidden gems out there. A lot of things people don't know about, a lot to discover. And again, I probably like a broken record, why I put that map of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park on my previous news two ago, because I'm not sure people know how extensive just that park is. And forgetting about just Great Smoky Mountains National Park, you get over into Western North Carolina and Pisgah National Forest, and up there to where like Mount Mitchell is, and they're just a gazillion square miles of places to go. 15 years, it must have cost a fortune. I'm sure it did, and they probably left no stone unturned and did everything. Would love to visit. Too bad we can't record there. I don't know if that's urban legend or not, because if you search YouTube for Biltmore videos, there's a gazillion Biltmore. I'm using the word gazillion a lot. There's a lot of Biltmore videos out there, including in the house. And I went there. I had a season pass and I was taking a bunch of pictures. So, I hear people saying all the time you can't record there, and I'm not sure if that was urban legend that, or the truth be told, if it is, maybe they don't want you record. I don't exactly know, but I don't recall that me taking out my cell phone and taking pictures. I can't recall that not being allowed. And also with the whole thing with being able to overdub, you don't have to sit there with a gimbal. And I'm not talking about being like, breaking the rules or anything, but it would be possible to shoot a video and overdub it later. I'm not sure, but there are a lot of Biltmore YouTube videos out there. Check it out. I see a video where people put bird seed and the bears come up every day on their porch and eat seed. Sometime the bears try to get in their houses. There are some really cool bear videos out there. There's like some Facebook forums and stuff you can join, and where every day somebody's posting some like just amazing video of bear crossing the street or opening a car door, doing all these crazy things. They're really interesting animals. I love the Biltmore. It is beautiful. It certainly is. It's just the one thing I've said about it again is like, you know, you have to appreciate one has to appreciate kind of history, culture, art, and what it represents. I've mentioned before, I don't think the kids are really amazed by the Biltmore. And you'll notice if you go out to the Biltmore, like, it doesn't look like the crowds at Disney World. Um, you do get a lot of older people that can appreciate what the Biltmore represents. If a group of 20-year-olds go out there, well, what the heck? I'm looking at some old building. Who cares? It's an acquired taste. Now there are grounds to ride bicycles and walk paths, and there's a train I think that's out there sometimes, kind of like the one that I maybe showed from the Arboretum. But um, you know, so the Biltmore is spectacular, but it's not like a highly interactive, get the kids all riled up kind of adventure type thing. Doesn't but it doesn't take anything away from it. Still open to get down to your area sometime this year. Yes, always a great trip down this way. I know. I think you said Thanksgiving last year. The fall is always, of course, a good time, like we were just talking about. The view from the balcony at the Biltmore is almost worth the admission during the fall. Yeah, and I don't know if the one you're talking about, but I took a pretty good picture off the left balcony so it was kind of like where the front is, you go to the left and you go down, and it looks out towards Mount Pisgah. So for Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, the mountain to look at is Mount LeConte. Well, over here in Asheville, our mountain to look at is Mount Pisgah. You can see it from most parts of Asheville, including near where I am. A beautiful mountain, over 5,000 feet. And so you do look out to Pisgah. One of the things I had read is that George Vanderbilt loved Mount Pisgah and the view of it. And what he did is he kept buying more and more land so that like nothing would obstruct the view, of the Biltmore estate, to being able to see that. It was cool. It was a road they supposed to be built when they created Fontana Lake. They built a tunnel and then had to abandon the project. There's a park and hiking trails. Definitely road to nowhere. I'll definitely have to look into that. Oh, that's great news. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah. I think, and I think I've heard like, again, folks in our community talk about you can't film there, but yeah, just double check me on that. Like when you go, like, I'll just pull it up real quickly. Uh, let me see. Biltmore tour. Um, yeah, here's one right here. Here's a channel called 614 Life. By the way, I probably know what that is. That person's probably from Columbus, Ohio, because 614 is Columbus, Ohio. And I just hovered over it. There's 40,000 views from 2 years ago, and they're doing a video inside the Biltmore estate. Yeah, I mean, well, there's this, the courage to travel. What else do we have? 4K Biltmore estate. I'm sorry. Quick tour of the Biltmore estate. Some of these are more formal than others, but on the amateur front, I don't know. So Biltmore tour inside. So yeah, it probably is the flash. I think Rita's right. Let's see here. Top 10 tips. I'm sorry. I don't normally pause out. I was just looking at that. You cannot use a flash at the Biltmore. Okay. We haven't looked up any videos because I want to see it firsthand. Okay. I totally agree with that. There are a few of you that have been here for every live stream, and those have heard me say before that there are certain places I go to and I want it to be like a present that I open and it's a surprise. I completely get what you're saying. Before we had Dollywood passes, and until this day, I will not watch rides on YouTube that I haven't been on because it spoils it for me. I want to see it firsthand. Um, we had a conversation one day because I said sometimes I even do that with hotels, but other people made the comment, I want to know what that hotel's like. I totally get that. Like I'll look at reviews and I look at pictures, but Like I might not go to an nth degree like of a hotel resort or some really cool place because I'm like, I kind of want to see it for myself. So I totally get that. Yeah. Just make sure you have an entire day to spend there to see all the winery and everything. Yeah. And Rita's right. It's like an a la carte package. They have wine tours and restaurants and different levels of packages and more in-depth tours. My mom really enjoys that place. And so yeah, anyway, need to give some more love to the Biltmore. A real wasted opportunity. I had this channel and those season passes, and I never made a video from there. So anyway, something to look forward to in the yeah, the future. So yeah, anyway, that is the news and notes for the week. Let me go ahead and stop that and get back. You know what? I think with that, do you think the Biltmore is getting too expensive for some people? So I haven't checked the price recently. I can comment on that generically. That there are places that are tourist attractions that are not afraid to kind of be admitting that they use price as a way to crowd control. Disney World does it. Disney World will raise prices continually, daily tickets, because the demand for the park so exceeds what they can handle, and so they can absolutely raise their prices to their heart's content. The one time that backfired or that didn't work for them was during the financial crisis around 08, 9, 10, where the parks turned and gave back. I remember during those years we lived in Florida, and you would go on your birthday, they would give you a free ticket or $100 gift card. That's unheard of now. I mean, you're lucky to get free napkins at Disney World. Now, I know during the pandemic things were hurting, but I didn't hear like massive incentives that they were doing. It was all kind of part of the world situation that was going through. But I don't know if the Biltmore does the same thing, if they use pricing for crowd control, because it's, you can't have droves of people, walking through that house. So, but at the same time, they might be using it for the 15-year restoration and all the other projects they're doing. I can't comment well on that because I don't follow the prices at the Biltmore close enough, but it is a good question. And yes, certain places do that. In fact, sometimes I think that it should kind of be in place. I remember when we were younger, some of the theme parks we would go to, the price point was so low that the parks were starting. These were theme parks, not like municipal parks. We're getting so much loitering by kids and such that it was getting in the park. It was getting tough because there were just droves of people, and people were starting to be rude, and a lot of like younger kids were kind of acting up and being disrespectful, and a lot of people it started to become not as family friendly. And but it's tough to say because you want everybody to be able to enjoy an experience. But I think there's this sense that if you people who have to save up or pay a little bit more, you feel like, oh, like it's kind of like going to I got to get my money's worth. I want to make this a good experience versus if it reduces the price point where somebody's like, I didn't know if I want to go there or not, but it's so cheap, I'm just going to go there, who cares, I'm not really sure, and I'm just going to mess around and just goof off. So it kind of helps, I think, throttle some of that a little bit. But daytime admission $75. I did not know that. I know we got annual passes, and I think it was only like maybe double that, and you got to go for the whole year. Hey, Brian, just wrapping things up here. Actually, I am wrapping things up. I'm about 23 minutes to a half an hour over where I would normally be. Kids are free all summer. Yes. And again, I think that's to help draw in the families because it's not ideally a kid's number one attraction. I think they'll get bored a little bit quicker, but that is a good deal. Last year, I should have taken them up during the pandemic because they had like biannual passes. I think it was last May, and get like 18 months for, the regular price minus $50. I mean, they were trying to hand it over. California is expensive. Yeah, there's a lot of that with inflation going on. So, and good tip, by the way, Rita. Hey, listen, guys, it is almost at the 2-hour mark. It is past 11. It is very, very late. It's been a fantastic live stream. I hope you all Have a wonderful week, a great rest of your evening. Very safe. Enjoy your summer. I'll keep connected through Instagram and YouTube Shorts and getting videos going and Eclectic Candyman and all the other things that I happen to do. And so I'm going to wrap this up. It's been great chatting with you all. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. Everybody have a wonderful, yes, big day next Monday, 50th birthday. Larry, you remind me next Monday. Sing to you. Actually, if you're not going to be there, what am I thinking? You're celebrating or being with your family or whatever. If I don't see you next Monday, happy birthday. That's a big one. I hope you have a wonderful birthday and enjoy your week and your day. That's fantastic. Happy birthday to you, Larry. That is really, really cool. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful week, safe week. Enjoy where you are. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone. Great night. Yes. Have a good week. Have a good night. And Larry will be here. Okay. That's great. If not, we understand you're having a birthday celebration. Yes. All right, everyone. Have a good night. We'll talk to you later. Mr. Mountman signing off. See you, everybody.